Hello, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be going over my prediction for the most likely scenario to happen in 2024, which would be Kamala Harris, our next vice president, going against Mike Pence, our current vice president, as he's polling at 40% among Republicans in the 2024 primary polls. If you don't know, that's like 30% above Don Jr., so that's pretty well, considering if Don Jr. Doesn't run, then he would pick up that percentage as well. Mike Pence would be the most likely person to win the 2024 election if they were to be a Republican, but I don't think he would win. And here's why. I think that Washington, California, Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, D.C., Illinois, Hawaii, and Maine's 1st District, as well as Oregon, would go to Kamala Harris by over 15 points. I know 208 votes seems like a lot, but this isn't really that far from what Joe Biden's done. Really, I mean, these three states were likely, and then everything else. So far, this would be the 2020 election. No, I do think that Kamala Harris would do better among Latinos in New Mexico, Nevada, as well, with a likely margin around 8 points. Just considering Mike Pence is completely unenthusiastic and does horrible among Latino support, he definitely would not get the LGBT vote or any percentage of it, considering he has publicly expressed how much he dislikes them. Colorado went to Biden by 13.5 points. I definitely see Kamala Harris being a more strong candidate than Biden and being more likely to put Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia into the safe margin, and maybe bring Nevada to a close for the Democrats. I do think that Mike Pence would do very well among the conservatives in general, because he seems like more of not a centrist, but he's just a little bit less right than Donald Trump is. And by right, I mean Republican. I do think he would carry Montana by a likely margin, but Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska at large in Nebraska's 3rd District, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and his home state of Indiana, where he served as governor, all by over 15 points. I do think Missouri, Kansas would be just shy of it. They hardly went safe this election. I think Kamala Harris would improve here, especially how well the black vote has given to the Democrats in Missouri, and how much more optimistic Kansas and Montana are being. I do think South Carolina would go to Kamala Harris by around 6 points. I do think Alaska would go to Kamala. No, not Kamala. South Carolina would go to Mike Pence by around 6 points. I think he would win Alaska by around 8 points. I think he would do about the same as Trump did in both of his elections in Iowa. I don't see Iowa moving that much. It's losing popularity, actually, I believe. Ohio, I think it would carry by a likely margin. Now, here's where things get good for Kamala Harris. Actually, not really. I do think he would carry Wisconsin by a tilt margin. I really do. I think he would flip it. I think he would flip Pennsylvania, as I see the only reason Biden has won Pennsylvania is because he's from there. I really do. North Carolina would go to Pence by a lean margin as well, I think. It's a traditionally Republican state. But no, what I was saying about Pennsylvania is Biden is from there, and he still hardly won, just by over 1%. I don't think that Kamala Harris could win here. I think basically it would only be 2 flips. Actually, 3 flips, but not for Pence that time. Thing is, Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, you can see how Pennsylvania has lost an electoral vote. Ohio has lost an electoral vote. Michigan has lost an electoral vote, and Minnesota has lost an electoral vote. And how Arizona, Texas, Florida are gaining electoral votes. That is because people from the Rust Belt are moving to the Sun Belt. Democrats from the Rust Belt are moving to the Sun Belt. That's why Texas has gained 3 electoral votes. That's why Arizona's gained 1. That's why Colorado's gained 1. That's why Georgia hasn't changed. That's why Florida's gained 2. That's why Alabama's gained 1. Or actually 2. No, lost 1, actually, because they're moving to other states. A lot of people from the Republican states are moving to more swingy states. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I think you get my point. I think that Kamala Harris would carry Michigan and Minnesota by a lean margin. I don't see Pence doing very well in these 2 states, but doing better than Trump did. I think that Nebraska's first district would go by around the same amount as it did with Trump, as they're not too different of a candidate. Utah would go to Pence by a safe margin. I don't know why I didn't have that filled in. I do think that Pence would carry Maine's 2nd district by a likely margin. I do think that he would not win any more states here. Now hear me out. Nebraska, 2nd district, went to... Actually, I don't know. I have to say tilt for the Democrats, not lean. I know I see Pence doing better in some of these areas, but not enough for him to win Nebraska's 2nd district. I think he would lose Maine at large and New Hampshire by a lean margin, doing a little bit better than Trump did by a few points. But I think he would do worse than Trump did in Arizona and Georgia. That's just because of how these demographics are changing. He's so unenthusiastic and different for Florida. I don't think he would win it. I think he would lose it by a... he's not even... he doesn't even have a home field advantage. He doesn't have anything. I think he would lose Florida by a lean margin, and I do think he would lose Texas by a tilt margin. Now, that's just because of how the state's changing already. That's not because he did anything with Texas. That's just because. Now, this is interesting. It doesn't even look like he would hit 200. If any of these states are wrong, I guarantee you it'd be Texas or Florida. Even if he wins both of those, he still has 265. And he would still lose. He's still unlikely to win. But right now, this is my prediction for Kamala Harris versus Mike Pence, the most likely situation as of now. Thank you guys so much for